Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Why Good Visual Analytics Matters. My name is Sharka Ubachik, and I'm a consultant at Billigence in Sydney. I hope you're all safe, having a lovely week, and looking forward to hearing about principles, ideas, some Tableau best practices, and tips on why I believe a good visualization is such a strong selling point. Let me share the presentation with you.
Let me start with introducing Billigence. We are a business intelligence company based in Australia, Czech Republic. That's where my accent is from, in case you were wondering. Also Germany, UK, Singapore, and the US. We focus on consultancy in all things data, from getting your data in the best shape to ever so popular data governance, data visualization, and even predicting future. Well, based on the data and science, of course. We do not only business intelligence dashboards, but we also look into CRM to give our clients some useful insight. And as you can see here, our clients are from various industries. And we partner with the leaders in their fields to get the best solution for our clients. Now that you know us, let's move on to why we're actually here today. I have about an hour to convince you that good visual analytics is better than an ugly one. If you just took my word for it, we could stop right here and you could go for a cup of coffee instead. But data is always more than an opinion, so bear with me. We will go through 3 main reasons why I believe good visual analytics matters: data accuracy, cognitive abilities of us humans, and getting attention of your audience. All of those are much tightly interlinked than you might think. In the following hour, if you disagree with me or need any clarification, send your question to the chat and I will get to it in our Q&A at the end. And just a heads up, this presentation is created solely in Tableau and will be available for you in our Billigence's Tableau public profile. We'll share a link with you in the follow-up email. There are lots of data analysts, engineers, and scientists out there that don't believe that creating a visually appealing analysis matter. And I'm here to prove them wrong. Data accuracy is one of the strongest selling points for people who don't care about pretty. There's a great saying amongst software developers to always code as if the person who ends up maintaining your code is a violent psychopath who knows where you live. And honestly, the same goes for creating Tableau dashboards and naming your columns. I'm a big fan of human readable data. Data curating is usually a step before you get to visualizing. As a data engineer, you're a part of the visualization team, and it doesn't matter if you don't feel like it or you don't want it. When you're querying your data, cleaning it and selecting what is going to be used, you're taking a part in the storytelling. And you should know how your data is used, because data is only good when somebody uses it. You can have a super cool machine learning script you spent weeks, if not months or years on, that spits out hundreds of columns with the unthinkable amount of data. But if the data is not seen, what is it good for? Selection by filtering out uncomfortable data is part of the storytelling as well. It's the bad part of that good, ugly, bad you read in the webinar invitation. So what is so bad about it? Well, integrity is a great thing. And I'm pretty sure you came across it already, or well, rather sooner than later. But let me give you an example why not to bend your data. Let's imagine you run a city where traffic and air pollution are not doing well. You have a city full of trams, buses, and cars. And you ask for help experts from overseas who has experience in that. They say more buses, less tram. That's your answer. Buses are more flexible and trams are just congesting your city. Bam! 70 years later, and you're building tram lines again. Because their finely curated data lied to you. They were motor vehicles lobbyists, and you were running Sydney. And their analysis left out environmental and health impacts, as well as space hunger of the cars. And it influenced the lives of millions of people for decades, if not centuries. I left a link for you here if you want to read about it more, because it's a true story. Even when you're not creating a visualization yet, you still need to be aware if and how the data can be skewed, and as well as who is your audience, what is their data literacy, and what they need for the data for. And now to the realm of data visualization. Oh, look, a pie chart, loved by business and hated by everyone else. But why? Take a look here. We have 5 of the most expensive paintings ever sold. Would you be able to tell me what is the second most expensive painting? And what is the approximate percentual difference between the most and the least expensive paintings? Well, are you actually looking at the pie chart or the bars? If you want to know an answer quickly, you won't bother with the pie. In the pie, interchange and the card players, those two, look basically the same. And the same goes for number 17. And when will you marry? But in the bars, you see it almost immediately that the second most expensive painting is this one. And the least expensive painting is number 17A. And the difference in price is 54%. But what about donuts? Everyone says donuts are much better than pies. Well, let's take a look. What do you think? Is this donut telling you a better story? Is it easier to read? What if I told you I switched the places of those slices that are similar in size? I switched the card players with interchange and number 17A with when will you marry? It's not that easy to tell, is it? 3D charts are probably better known to TV viewers and Excel users. They give you the feeling that something substantial is going on there. Well, Tableau doesn't allow you to create such an abhorrence for a good reason, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Well, we could spend a whole day talking about pies, donuts, and bars, but there are also other ways how charts can lie to you. And here we have some unfortunate choices. The top bar chart are part of COVID-19 dashboard, and they look good. The design looks good. It's a very friendly, very clean style. So what's my problem? Well, it should have been a line chart because we are dealing with continuous data. And also, it kind of looks like whoever got sick here, they also died. But at the same time, they also recovered. So another issue here is axis. Also, the bottom chart type is quite unfortunate. I mean, stacked bars are great. They take up much less space than three bars next to each other, and they are a good choice for showing proportion. But if you want to compare anything but year 2017, you don't really stand a chance. And as mentioned before, axes lie to you. Here are charts that look good again. Nice colors, highlighting, attention to detail. But the axes here are not set to the same size. Of the left-hand side, we have some measures in percentage of total. When we see percentage, we usually assume that we are comparing those against 100%. Well, not in this case, because the axes are set to automatic for each set of bars. So the full length is 62.2, 74, and 57.4. And the same issue is with the bars on this right-hand side. They are telling you how Sydneysiders are using ferries. The green bars are anywhere from 2.4K to 1.1 million. Sure, you can say the small numbers would be basically invisible if the axis was set to same, and you are right. This is a common issue when your data range is just too big. So what would be my advice here? Well, keep the axis different, but visually divide the charts because there are actually quite a few of them. Because this way, the user might feel compelled to compare those charts. Compare maybe the employee with the adult OPA passes, but it won't work. They are set on different axes. And here I have two examples when the intention was good, but it went bad anyway. Let me start with the right-hand side because that one is going to be much shorter. The intention here was to show positive cases of COVID-19 in NSW regions. There's no indication what the slicing of the bars is about. Is it based on time? Number of months would be plausible, but the number of slices is quite inconsistent. This is what I call a sweater. Don't make sweaters in Tableau. They're useless. You can't wear them and you can't read them. Now to the other one. If we follow the narrative here, we would start with ship mode class on the left-hand side. Well, we would assume that those colors are set to guide us through the report, but not really. Let's take this purple first class. In the next chart, it colors accessories. and tables. But in the radials below, we can't even see the purple color. And here in the square donut below, it stands for south. Also, we have it here and here. And here it stands for consumer. And we again see it here with no explanation. So wrong colors, checked. Now let's see the charts. These bookmark style kind of labels look good, but surprisingly, they are just labels. Their length doesn't stand for anything. And also, we have some circles here with percentages. Is this anyhow sorted? Yes, it is, alphabetically. This radial chart, this radial donut, looks really fancy, but you are not able to read it properly. You can't tell how much longer this longest line is compared to the rest of the lines. This square donut might look cool, but it's actually pretty useless because from donuts or pies you expect slices, but this one gives you 25% for each, but here you can see that the numbers are not actually 25%. So wrong charts also checked. But not to be just negative, I mean, yeah, it's usually a bit more fun to pick up what someone else did wrong. But the overall style of this dashboard is pretty pleasing to the eye. So what's the best thing to do with pies? Eat them. And if you thought this was the last pie today, you were wrong. I promised to explain why business people love pies, but everyone else hates them. So we're going to talk about our brain a bit. Let's start with another short exercise. Take a look at those charts and try to decide what are the percentages of the yellow slices. Pies are great when you want to show proportion. If you want to show 25, 50 or 75%. It's much easier for us to see it in a pie than a bar chart. But when it's anything else, we start to have real issues. So let me just highlight what the slices are here. And yeah, you can see when it's 25 or 50%, we're okay. But in the second one, we can't really tell, was it 26, 27, 28? And the same goes for the basically a half, but not really. And the fifth of the pie chart are really difficult to tell exactly. The issue with the pies and donuts is not angle, but the area. The love for pie chart is based on our basic instincts. Well, the best things in our life are circle. Sun, our planet, pancakes, cakes, pizza, and of course pies. And dividing those into slices is more than natural for us. But we are not that good at reading areas, unless the slices are at right angles. 1/4, half, 3/4. We can't tell exact values of the area. And the answer for the 3D chart is a bit similar. Our visual system tries to correct the distortion that's created by two-dimensional projection of a 3D object. We have issues understanding distribution in space and perspective. For us, it's unreliable. we are highly dependent on appropriate cues in the image and also our sense of three-dimensionality. But our limits don't stop here. Our visual brains are also a bit slow when it comes to reading. Here, try to find a number that there's only once and come up with a number that's the most common. See, it was number 1. And the most common number was 6. Those 3 slides are a great and simple example of why visuals are much efficient than the raw data in an Excel spreadsheet. When we see rows of numbers, we instinctively read them as a text, starting with the first line until we reach the end. And when we use colors or sizes to highlight, we are so much quicker. So now we know humans are not only inaccurate, but also slow. And to make it even worse, we have issues focusing. And the louder the noise, the harder it is for us to hear the message. Just think of a live feed, or unregulated street signs, or even intense family reunion when everyone talks over everyone. It's just easy to get yourself lost. And this is how we're getting to the third reason of why good visual analytics matters, and that's our audience's attention. Visual analytics is not only about a good-looking dashboard, but it also is. And it wouldn't be a proper presentation about design without some Steve Jobs quote. And I like this one. Design is how it works. In here we will be talking not only about design and specifically about minimalistic design, but also aesthetics and attention. So, if you want to know whether your attention span is shorter than the goldfish ones, stay tuned. This is an example of some really loud noise I mentioned before. Colors, sizes, lines, jar junk. Too many things that don't help you. They just confuse you. If you want to answer a simple question, how many paintings were sold for an above average price? You don't want to know what years those paintings were finished, which is the color in this case, or to emphasize the price not only by length, but also the size of the bar. I mean, the formatting in here is all over the place. On the other hand, we have quite a minimalistic approach. We can tell straight away that there were 4 paintings without needing to checking how far away the bars are from the line, because we used a color cue. Minimalism and UX go hand in hand. Sure, there are different people and different approaches, but simple things help you make your audience's life easier. Is it going to make your life easier? Well, eventually. Because when you design a dashboard that is easy to navigate in, simple enough to understand but complex enough to be a one-stop shop report, you will make the user happy. Therefore, you will be happy when you won't have to explain everything all over again every single morning on a weekly status meeting. Minimalistic approach was highly popular in the 60s when minimalistic art movement started. But we can see some tendencies much earlier as well, Occam's razor being just one example. Entities should not be multiplied without necessity. Also, less is more, and keep it simple. Okay, so now we know a dashboard should be simple and easy to navigate. And a reading pattern is something I already mentioned when I was talking about speed and Excel spreadsheets. It's also something people talk about a lot when creating a dashboard layout. Here we have some reading pattern examples. Which one would you choose for your dashboard? And which one do you think is the correct one? Well, that pattern, this one, is quoted most of the time as the pattern you should use, because that's how we read, and exactly how we read. We have a tendency to read pages heavy on text with this kind of pattern. The spreadsheet is another example of a heavy text page. And of course, it is applicable to dashboards as well. But you don't have to follow the Z pattern. You can set the hierarchy yourself. We follow these patterns automatically only when there is a lack of hierarchy and flow. Colors, highlights, size, borders, all of those are great for breaking the pattern. And to learn more about that, I'll wait for our next webinar on visual analytics. It's coming soon. Okay. Aesthetics. You would think something so subjective doesn't have place in something so objective as science, mathematics, or data. And you would be wrong. Well, you would be right about beauty being subjective and science being objective, but when combined, they're much more powerful. For example, mathematicians believe in beauty. At MIT, they even tested and ranked equations from the most to least beautiful. And when they checked brain activity on scan while seeing the beautiful equations, the subject's brain lightened up in the same place and way as if they saw a piece of art. I mean, how cool is that? Our brain is made for deciphering images, and it also performs better when we feed it with a quality and meaningful content. So, what is aesthetically pleasing for our brain and eyes? Well, quite a lot of stuff, as you can see here. Let's take one example. It's my favorite one, symmetry. There's one thing that minimalistic art and aesthetics have in common, and it's exactly this, symmetry. I'm pretty sure you saw at least once this painting, a large white canvas with a big black square in the middle. You might not like it that it's expensive painting or that it is even considered an art, but there's only a very slight chance you would find this painting appalling. It's symmetric. Your focal point is the square. There's stillness as an opposite to movement. The proportion of the black square and white border gives you the impression it's the square we should look at. And there's also some unity, but at the same time contrast in the colors as well as shapes. But to get back to the dashboards, here are two examples of my own dashboards that I tried, where I tried to use colors for emphasizing the topic. So rainbow colors for LGBTQ plus rights dashboard, and some green for Future is Green about cycling and environment. I also decided to use shapes for simplification on both dashboards as well. The map shape is something we easily recognize, so we don't need an accurate representation of the state borders. Also here, I chose circles that are also used in a similar fashion here on the scatter plot. On the second dashboard, I use shapes like windmill or sun, carrot, and drops for wind power, solar power, biomass, and hydropower. But also I'm using shapes for means of transport, and even countries can be simplified with flags. On both examples you see here, the charts are extremely simple. Some scatter plot, but bar charts here, line charts, and again some bars. These line charts for carbon emissions are set to the same axis, so the countries can be actually compared to each other. And also there is some symmetry in this cars versus bicycle chart. And here comes another invitation for the next webinar, where I will be talking about minimalism principles, Gestalt principles, and some design thinking. Our last topic for today is audience attention. There is an infographic circling the internet about how human attention span is shortening so much, it's even shorter than that of a goldfish. Well, I don't mean to be a killjoy, but it's not true. First of all, there are no substantial studies about fish attention span. Second of all, our attention span is short, but not 8 seconds as those infographics are trying to tell you. You can find a link to a debunking article in the list of sources and inspiration reading at the end. Our brain likes novelty. Our brain likes rewards. And our brain is fighting hard to get some novelty, and when it gets some, it rewards itself with a pleasant feeling. Well, it sounds much weirder than it actually is. And novelty can be anything from an ambulance outside your window, new notification on your phone, new message on the Teams, and these highlighting I'm using here to draw your attention. We blame social media for shortening our attention span, and it's true. You can read another study in the links again, but emails, Teams, Slack, or Skype, all of the work tools we use are not helping either. And it's good to keep that in mind when designing a report for your users. You need to draw their attention and keep it for as long as possible. Yes, they are going to use an ugly report, as long as they need the data there. But the better the report, the happier the user, and the more useful the data you carefully prepared and curated at the beginning. I know there's a lot of pressure now. It seems that I laid too many rules in front of you, and I did. But the great thing about any work you do or I do is the learning process. And the rules are meant to be bent, unlike data. Those rules are there for you to help you to navigate. They are your map, not a fence path. If you're not satisfied with what you did a half a year ago, it's great. And I mean it. It's great not to be happy about your old work. because it means you're learning and evolving. And also creating a perfect dashboard is like chasing a unicorn. Don't spend your best years perfecting something that is already pretty good, even when it means it's a horse with a party hat. Okay, the invitation also promised some quick Tableau tips, so here we go. First of all, get rid of as many lines as possible. Grid lines, borders, anything that distracts the reader. Keep only the essentials. Colors are terrific for visual cues. If you think your taste in color is not widely seen as aesthetical, excuse me. If you think your taste in color is not widely seen as aesthetical, you can find some palettes online. Also, think about colorblind people. You can test images for that online as well. Link is in the resources. Next one is custom shapes and images. As I showed you before, they can help you a lot to simplify and also to create an emotional connection with the user. Because the stronger the connection, the better the chance they will remember what they saw. The fourth point I call hide and seek is a lot about clean look of both the dashboard and the workbook. It's a bit like cooking, just clean as you go. Drop-down menus, buttons, tooltips, and hiding sheets when they are used in dashboard are a great start. My fifth point is using containers. Nest them as much as possible. They might be a bit frustrating from time to time, but they're super useful. And when you use them, you will thank me later. My bonus point is to go visit your local art gallery. Even if you're not an art fan, you might see it a bit differently now, at least I hope. And seeing art is for our visual literacy, as is reading for, well, the regular literacy. As I promised, here you can find some sources and inspiration I used, and also data sources here. And now it's some time for your questions.
Okay, Michelle H. Great examples, thank you. How would you best introduce the cool visualizations to a business environment? That's a good question. I'm basically be confident but be humble. Try to explain in a person or make a good note in the dashboard for the users, because it really depends on the data literacy of the audience, as I mentioned. It might be received with a simple, yeah, okay, but also people can be in kind of a denial. So always try to see the dashboard or the chart through the eyes of the person who's going to use it. I'm all for educating the users, but you can't start explaining, let's say, chemistry to a 5-year-old by getting into something advanced like chemical equilibrium, something like that. So small steps, using familiar terms or conceptual examples help a lot. Okay, another question. Does it mean tables, cross-tabs, spreadsheets are a wrong way to show data? No, there is a time and place for plain tables. To show some simple overview or when you need to check your data, it's great. Tableau allows you to create cross tabs from the chart, which is a super useful thing. But as I showed you before, giving someone a huge spreadsheet to make a decision on that, that's not really helping them because they will end up creating the visuals themselves just in Excel. Okay. Yep. And yeah, all the whole presentation with all the links will be shared with you in the follow-up email. So feel free to go check that. Rohan asks, can a visualization design be too novel and distract from the intended message? Yeah, of course. You can be making the noise you are trying to avoid, that's for sure. If you are showing something very new, just try to prepare the audience, or let's say have one super cool visualization with few that are more familiar ones. The novelty of the design, I would say try to stick with minimalism as much as possible. So don't try to put too many things in one dashboard. That can create kind of noise as well. So it's fine to have more than one dashboard. I know this is not very understood in businesses because people try to have one dashboard and see everything there, but it usually can't be done. You can't fit the whole book on one page. Okay, Pete is asking, where shall I start when I'm only starting creating dashboards and want to get it right from the get-go? That's one of my favorite things. Pen and paper or a whiteboard if you have one. I believe that this is widely underestimated thing. You just want to start drawing. That's one of the best things for designing anything really. So start there and then look up some inspiration. You can go to Tableau Public. There are lots of dashboards. You can look up business dashboard, or if you want to find something else, not business related, there are lots of inspiration you can find there. Sure, there are lots of ugly or bad ones as well. So you can use them as a example how to not to do that. It might be a bit more difficult to spot the bad ones at the beginning. So try to find people who are called Tableau Zen masters. They could be a great inspiration. Those are people who are recognized by Tableau as people who do really good dashboards or who can use Tableau really well. Also, there's a book out there called The Big Book of Dashboards that focuses on business business visualizations. So that book might be a good inspiration as well. Okay, we still have 10 minutes if you want to ask any more questions. How long did it take you to get to this level? I started learning Tableau 2 years ago, and I started using it basically on a day-to-day basis about a year ago. It, as anything else, the more time you spend with it, the better you get, I would say. And also, if you like it, you will probably spend more time with it, and it's great to combine things. So I see Tableau not only as something technical, but also something I can use my love for art and human behavior to put it in some kind of action, and also it helps me to understand topics I'm personally interested in. So this level is a year, but there's a lot I can still learn and I need to learn, and there's a long way ahead of me. Okay, if there are no more questions, we can okay, actually there's one more. Is there a topic in the future to show how to set up an effective container for the dashboard? Oh, we haven't think about it yet, but we can definitely cover that in the future. So yeah, if there's if that's what people want to know, sure, we can cover that in the future. Okay, I think we can wrap it up for today. Let me just for the last time share my screen with you.
Thank you for all your questions. And before we part our ways and get some coffee, I'd like to share some ways of how we can stay in touch. You can visit billigence.com, our website you see here, or you can send us an email to mail@billigence.com. Also, we are social, so you can find us as Billigence on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. If you check our this presentation on Tableau Public, you can even click the icons to get there. And If you want to ask or say anything to me, you can find me on LinkedIn or Tableau Public, or you can visit my blog sharka.hubacek.uk. Thanks for being here today, and I hope to see you next time. Have a great day, everyone.